What do you get when you take the art style of Faster Than Light mixed with the fast action combat we've seen in Mad Max? Convoy. This cool Kickstarter title by the developers over at Convoy Games has put the pedal to the metal with the unique sci-fi car action roguelike universe. Of course, as with any game, the question remains, is it any good? Well, buckle up your seatbelts and put on your most fashionable clothing, for today we're delving into the war-torn wastelands of Omec Prime to find out just what's under the hood of this game. Without further ado, here's my review of Convoy. The story of Convoy is pretty simple. Your spaceship named Mercury crash lands on the planet Omec Prime, a hostile place full of crazy goons that love getting into fights, especially when there's vehicles involved. 4 random parts are destroyed off of your ship when you reach the surface, and it's up to you to lead a convoy throughout the post-apocalyptic wastelands in search of these items. On your travels, you'll quickly learn of the 3 factions fighting for control over the land. There's your standard raiders that simply just want to kill everyone and don't care if they make any profit. They generally just shoot on sight and betray you the first chance they get. Then there's the privateers that pretty much do the exact same thing, only when money's involved. These people are generally more willing to work with you specifically. Then lastly, there's the Torvak, a cyborg-loving technological powerhouse that loves scanning and surveying the land, learning if anything in particular is a threat to their progression. These guys are usually the most interesting because when you just start out, they may consider you far from a threat. Then during the endgame, when you're armed to the teeth, the Torvak may do everything in their power to stop you. It's really quite fun to learn what they think of you. As you progress in your adventure, you'll be given side quests and objectives that you'll need to complete in order to build your forces. That's when you get to play with the text-based minigame adventures. Some objectives are straightforward and only have one dialogue option that just has you continue the story, but others have branching dialogue paths that could either get you new vehicles, extra parts, or items to use, or even just a little chuckle at the cute pop culture references sprinkled throughout the game. The writing is very fun to read, and you can really learn a lot about the world, although it's easy to skip through given that the quest markers lead you along regardless of if you read the quests or not. There isn't really much of a plot to be had here, and there is no character development whatsoever. Convoy is still a fairly engrossing experience when you take the time to read each and every detail on your first time through, but a lot of the quests repeat themselves on successive playthroughs, so you end up just skipping through them as quickly as possible to get back to the action at hand. But regardless, I couldn't help but have a grin on my face after reading each of the well-written quests.
Yes, Captain? Yes, Captain. Hey!
As stated before in the introduction of this review, Convoy takes the artistic style of Faster Than Light and mashes it with the post-apocalyptic wastelands of the Mad Max series. It's awesome sitting back and watching as your buggies, SUVs, and tanks lay waste to the onslaught of enemy vehicles in a glorious and explosive fashion. The graphics may be a tad simplistic in some respects. For example, the main map is extremely basic, but it works beautifully at showcasing exactly what you need to see. It details terrain, quests, and shops easily, and you understand exactly what you need to do to reach your next objective. Unfortunately, I experienced a few hiccups when the combat became extremely hectic at times, getting low frame rates as large numbers of vehicles were on screen. I'm running an Nvidia 970, and it's a bit odd that this game can attain such low frame rates. But those moments are very few and far between, usually only occurring in large boss fights. Overall, Convoy is a beautiful looker, and it does very well with its simplistic yet effective art style, much like Faster Than Light. So many people like to reference Faster Than Light constantly when talking about this title. Hell, I've done it multiple times in this review. Although the art style and even some of the writing contains some strong similarities with FTL, Convoy simply takes a different route when it comes to its own style of gameplay. Where FTL has you racing against time, Running from an oncoming enemy force about to eradicate you from existence, Convoy has you driving around on your own accord, trying to find the parts you need to fix your spaceship. Doing that unfortunately takes away from the urgency you had in a game like FTL, considering you could effectively play forever with the random encounter system in Convoy. You can drive around on your own free will, and every now and again you may come across a random encounter. These can be anything from the dust blowing in the wind to raiders lurking around the corner in ambush. This allows you to essentially farm until all your vehicles are prepped for the final battle without any need to progress forward. But regardless, that doesn't stop the actual combat of the game from being any less intense than FTL. In fact, I found the combat in this to be extremely fast-paced, and that any wrong move would mean my death. This is a very unforgiving title. In Convoy, you have your main MCV that you choose from the start. At the beginning of the game, you only start with one type of MCV, but as you defeat various bosses throughout multiple playthroughs, you'll unlock more cars and MCVs to start out with for different strategies. Note that if your MCV dies, you lose the game immediately. There's also 3 difficulties to choose from: easy, medium, and hard. In my playthroughs, I could only beat easy in the 15 hours I put into Convoy. My attempts at medium and hard ended in utter defeat no matter how hard I tried. Prepare to have this game wipe the floor with you on multiple occasions. After you've named your selected vehicles, you head on out to the map Omek Prime. You right-click on the map to move your convoy across, and roads allow you to move as fast as possible, although they may cause you to get into more random encounters due to them being used so often by bandits. Going off-road, however, will end up costing you more fuel on top of forcing you to move slower, but you may encounter less enemies if you decide to go off the beaten path. You'll spot various icons like shops to purchase other vehicles and weapons. You can also utilize shops for repairs and fuel, although it'll cost you a pretty penny. Your vehicles can also be upgraded at the shop at the cost of parts. You can increase a vehicle's health, armor, weapon range, and handling, as well as resistances to things like debris and mines. All very important to keeping your crew alive. There's also side quests as mentioned before that you can do to earn extra parts, vehicles, weapons, etc. The main quest of finding the parts to repair your ship will usually take you all over the map to find each and every piece, as no one is willing to help you for free. In turn, this has you help solve vendettas, start rivalries, and gain unexpected allies throughout your travels. And of course, you'll be encountered and forced into combat one way or another. Combat in Convoy is simple but extremely challenging. You left-click on the vehicle you want to control, and then right-click on the terrain you want to move to or the enemy you want to shoot. Enemies will most likely be trying to take down your MCV as soon as possible, but you can block the shots if you carefully position your vehicles around your convoy. Note that your MCV can never be moved, so it can be challenging to maneuver your squad just right. Sometimes red skulls will flash on the screen, indicating that there will be impassable terrain, warning you to move out of the way or else any cars left in its path will be destroyed. You can use this as an opportunity to push enemy vehicles into the impassable terrain and get an effective and quick kill. Your vehicles can be outfitted with various types of weapons. Beam weapons, for example, will give constant accurate fire, however they're easily blocked by vehicles driving near them. You have volleys of missiles, laser beams, cannons, machine guns, and all kinds of deadly things you can use to dispatch your foes, each weapon with their own unique stats that do more damage to armor or health of an enemy. The armor of an enemy naturally will reduce the amount of damage you can do to them, so it's important to kit your vehicles out appropriately to strip away the armor first and then leave the enemies vulnerable to all kinds of attacks. So although the combat may be simple, the game still manages to keep a strong degree of strategy for each fight you'll encounter. Sadly, I've encountered a few bugs and issues during my time with the game. When you pause the game with the spacebar to order your vehicles around, your faster vehicles will sometimes get confused when ordered to move with a slower one. They may merge inside your slower vehicles or go all the way around, sometimes resulting in accidental suicides. As you can imagine, that could be a bit frustrating, which it definitely was. Also, when I issue orders for all my vehicles at once while the game is paused, some vehicles flat out refuse my completely reasonable commands. Again, frustrating, but it's something that happens very rarely. I've also experienced one game-breaking bug where the shop glitched out and wouldn't let me back out of it. So it closed the game, and when I restarted it, my save file was lost, and I had to start over again. For the most part, I think the gameplay is very solid. It's not groundbreaking in any way, and the urgency is simply nowhere to be found at the grand scheme of things, especially when you compare it to FTL. But inside, you'll find a meaty combat system to sink your teeth into, with plenty of quests to complete before taking on the final boss. Convoy manages to do a lot of things right. It has a pretty art style, a simple but fun story with plenty of humorous side quests to follow along, and the combat is exciting from start to finish, challenging you throughout. Once a few more of the bugs get ironed out and the frame rate is fixed, this game will be an even better experience than it already is. And with the newest Mad Max movie just coming out in theaters, this is the perfect game to jump into to get your post-apocalyptic car action combat fix. I give Convoy a 4 out of 5. Thank you very much for watching my review. I really enjoy my time with Convoy, and I can't wait to get back into that game because I do want to beat it on medium and hard mode. But my god, is that game really hard. But hey, I just want to let you guys know that I stream every single day on twitch.tv/Akabane101 every single day at 8 a.m. Eastern. Link in the description below. And I stream anything from old school games like Dark Cloud, the newest AAA and indie games coming on out. I have quite the lineup of games to review at the moment. It's going to be a lot of work to get them all finished, so thank you all for being so patient. I can't wait to show you some of the more cool things coming on out. My name is Akabane101. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you all next time.